You are Locked On Cougs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Too far today's show is brought to you by our buddies over at Monarch Money, because if you ever wished that managing money felt easier, with Monarch Money it can be. Whether you're growing your savings, planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your personal CFO, full visibility and control of your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Now listen, I mentioned I'm a teacher, a coach, a podcaster. My wife's got incomes. We have all kinds. It's easy to lose track of what's where. Monarch Money is all in place. I can see trends. I can see that, hey, Parker's spending too much money on takeout because he didn't give himself not enough time to cook. Meal prep, save the money. It's very clearly laid out there for you to take control of your finances with Monarch Money like I did. Use Locked On College as a code at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first order. That's monarchmoney.com, code Locked On College for half off your first full year. Monarch Money can take control of your finances today. Parker Ames, the Locked On Cougs here, talking all things Houston Cougar basketball today on this, middle of the summer. I get it. It's off season for a lot of things. Football's ramping up, but basketball's around the corner, and basketball's going to look different this year in a lot of ways. But the Big 12 struck a big-time partnership deal with Peacock. The Big 12 is set to announce that 20 men's regular season basketball games will be streamed on Peacock as a part of the agreement between Fox Sports and NBC. This is really cheeky and well done by Brett Yormark. Gonna benefit Houston. I want to get to that in a second, because all 5 major networks, Fox, ESPN, NBC, CBS, TNT, will be airing in some capacity Big 12 basketball. And as a Houston fan, you should know Houston figures to be as a perennial power, 2 for 2 winning the conference, shown off a lot in that. Now, Brett Yormark has talked ad nauseum for a long time about how valuable he sees basketball, men specifically, in the future of college athletics and college athletic TV deals. He talked about having split deals where you have a separate football contract, a separate basketball contract, and a separate Olympic sports contract with these different outlets to kind of more appropriately connect them, because he sees Big 12 basketball as the top basketball conference in America, as this big entity to sell, right? The goal of getting your product, men's basketball, into all of these different media partners, all of them, all 5 of the major players involved here, is that they will each see the value of Big 12 basketball in their own hands. They'll have their own pre and post game shows, obviously, and streaming rights and all of that. They will see firsthand how this impacts the bottom line. And this is all happening between now and 2030, with the current deal the Big 12 has with Fox and ESPN expiring in 2031. Folks, this is intentionally setting up a bidding war. And that is important, because the bidding war for Big 12 basketball will tie into the money this conference makes in that media rights deal in 2031. It will be a big deal in conference. That 2031 summer is going to be a big deal in conference realignment as we head towards that, because schools are going to be wanting to get into the Big 12 with the media deal they've got. As college landscapes are changing, conferences are changing, the Big 12 is setting itself up to become a key player, because they're showing each of the potential bidders just how valuable they can be. For reference, listen, NFL Super Bowl, I totally get it. And frankly, I think it's an interesting, hypothetical conversation, could the Super Bowl be a pay-per-view event or whatever, right? But in terms of basketball, international basketball, FIBA, NBA, WNBA, unrivaled, anything, right? Of the 3 most watched basketball games in the world last year, the University of Houston played in 2 of them. They played against Florida in the national championship game for the most watched college basketball game in the world last year. The second most watched game in the world last year, for what it's worth, is Game 7, the NBA Finals, Game 7 NBA Finals between two teams that were, like up-and-coming new teams, right? And that is before the Tyrese Halliburton injury. The third game was Houston versus Duke. Houston's win over Duke in the Final Four was the third most watched game in basketball game in the world last year. Pro, college, anywhere in between. And Yormark knows that. Yormark knows that this is his bell cow in a lot of ways. And frankly, there's also some part of them that if you believe what he continues to say, and he keeps saying it, so I think it's fair to assume that he's being honest, that sees basketball as the future, the 20, 40, 45, 50, the future of college athletics in terms of media deals. Because there's just so many more games, and they can be played on any night of the week, and you can play them on back-to-back days if you really wanted to. There's so many reasons that basketball can be a profitable product at the college level down the line, and football is the kind of thing where, like, you're almost wondering, do you have to separate it from college athletics entirely because the financial structures and all that, right? That's all that is gray-haired Parker down the line, right? Right now, he sees this as a chance to show off what he's got. Houston, as a Houston fan, I should point out, will be involved likely in all 5 media partners. They're too big of a bell cow for the Big 12 not to utilize that audience on these 5 platforms: Fox, ESPN, NBC, CBS, and TNT, through their different streaming partners or whatever. You're going to have some access to each of them to watch Houston basketball this year. And yes, that will be inconvenient in the now. I can see it typing away. I understand it. I know it. I get it. It sucks. It will be inconvenient for the now. However, great viewership numbers, which I would predict to happen for those games in the now, will completely shift the bargaining table in 2031 in the Big 12's favor, right? They will have multiple different outlets, ESPN, Fox, NBC, CBS, TNT, that have established relationships with Big 12 basketball, that want to continue to grow those relationships. That want to continue to, that have seen, those 5 companies will have seen the payback, the way it pays off to be involved. And I'm telling you this in very generic kind of phrasing because the deal is set to be announced. It's going to come out this month, but the Big 12 is going to be on Peacock as well as CBS. That deal was struck in September of 2024. For what it's worth, Yormark comes in, he adds a bunch of schools, he signs a bunch of deals, and has it all set up to work his way by 20. I mean, this dude is a shark, right? But much like the CBS deal they signed in September 2024, the NBC deal is said to be signed very soon, and then going to go through as soon as the season hits. And 20 games is across the conference, right? The 20 conference games will be on NBC's Peacock. But that's how they're experimenting with their services. Peacock is a big-time streaming service these days. It's got a bunch of different things on it, and they've dabbled in NFL games and stuff like that before. Like, this is not uncommon for Peacock as a service. The NFL games went off from a production sense very well. I don't anticipate any issues for Big 12 basketball games or anything like that. But I do think that the temporary inconvenience will be a big deal down the line for Houston Cougar Athletics. Trust me on it. I get it. If you want to get your free sample of Peacock when it happens and then come back after the fact for, and cancel your subscription at the end of the season or whatever, totally understand. Trust me, getting Peacock, being a part of watching the games across these 5 networks will be worth it. This is a big deal. Speaking of big deals, big men looking at the University of Houston, class 2026. I'll talk about them in 1 second, but first,